Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. The market actually just having a look at the ASX 200, and the charts are really important because when you see the market down 0.8%, you can sort of panic a bit and think, oh, it's getting sold off. I need to sell the shares, but look, it's a perfectly really bullish looking ASX 200 on the daily chart, and you know what we say at Equity Story when we see those sort of charts. Well, why do you sell that? It looks absolutely very, very, very bullish. I suppose at the end of the day, obviously we are influenced by what's happening on the Dow, and the Dow is in, yeah, it is deciding which way to go, whether it breaks sort of 20,000 or comes back here, tests a lower level before it tries to break above this sort of 20,000 level. It did this a while back, around, I think, when it was trying to get through properly through that sort of 18,000 level. It came up, it sort of tested it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 times. Eventually sort of went through it with some conviction. Didn't have any problem going through 19, and now it's having that same sort of hitting its head above that wall. I think once it goes through that 20,000 level, could have a nice little run up even more, maybe to that sort of 20,500. So we are on a pretty pivotal point. But at the moment, like I said the other day, half the world's experts are telling us the market is going to crash, and the other half the world's experts are telling us the market is going to go up. At the end of the day, we just got to follow the charts, and if the charts are looking pretty bullish like this, well, then we just got to play them and hold them, and hope that the charts will win the day for us. Talking about charts, I'd just like to have a look at some of the trending stocks, and obviously ANZ, we're in pretty good profits with it. It's one we're trending at the moment. All the banks having a little bit of a breather today, but it doesn't. Although we did sell NAB the other day, just really being sensible. But it doesn't really give you a reason to sell that. It's still pretty bullish, and again, that sort of weekly chart looks very, very, very strong. I mean, for me, even NAB, just looking at NAB, I mean, I know we sold it the other day, but I think it looks great. There's nothing wrong with those charts at all. And yes, it's had one sort of red day. Certainly for me, it needs to have a lot more damage than that to say that these banks are going to pull back, closer to a moving average. At the moment, I still think they look pretty bullish, and if you're in the banks, I'd still be holding them, and we're definitely going to just still be holding ANZ for the time being. What is quite actually bullish today is, although the market is obviously red, it's good to see the emerging companies index actually up, but up slightly, 0.14%. 0.14%, and you can see the chart. It actually looks pretty bullish, and obviously it's had that recent sort of sell down away from these sort of smaller companies recently, but again, it's just starting to look very, very good, and bouncing back above that sort of 20-day moving average on that weekly, which I think is pretty bullish. I think that's generally a good sign. I think the market's starting to get a little bit more relaxed, starting to look for companies with growth, and possibly not sort of getting a little bit more relaxed. I think generally speaking, where the market is, and I think that's it. We did have a little look the other day, but I think I have another look today. It does give us more confidence that again these 3-year growth stories could start having some decent moves up fairly soon. And the stocks that again I think you should look at. We did speak about this a little bit last night. I think Money 3. Had this fantastic run up, came back, and now starting to look pretty bullish again. Got a little buy signal forming, and certainly you think it's 165, 180, but we're hoping it can obviously do a lot better than that. It is on a pretty low P of around 11, and it's got good double-digit growth, and it's a company that we believe over the next sort of 3 years we're going to do very well on it. Appen again, I think it's looking really, really bullish. We did well on this last year. We made 75%. We sold it around the high. We bought it again near this sort of long-term moving average, and it's starting to move up again. It's starting to look very, very good. So I think we got in at around sort of 260 again, or 250, 260. But even if you want to buy it around this 290, I don't think there's any issues there. I think it's looking very, very good. As is A2M milk. I mean, it's hard to buy charts at the moment from daily charts. We tend to buy everything at the moment from the weekly, but just looking for the daily for a bit of, I suppose, giving us a little bit more of an edge which way it might go in the shorter term. But generally speaking, that's a pretty decent chart from A2 milk. You would expect it to hold this sort of $2 level and then make a move up from here. We do like the story. We do like the A2 milk formula. We like the A2 milk. We think they've got the whole world to grow this story in, and I think over time it's going to be a good story. Again, Adasol, we like this story. We sold it, although we sold up here. We bought it a little bit too soon, but we were around that sort of 250 level. It's now 237, but certainly got no issues with the story, even though it has broken that sort of trend. I think that's a lot to do with just how the market has been, that section of the market's been moving recently, and certainly not about the stock. And I think as soon as it can break above here around this sort of 260 level, it could have a really nice move up. Tox again, really starting to get some traction. That trend's starting to look very, very good, and certainly that short-term trend is starting to look really consistent. As with TPM, if you haven't got any TPM, I suggest you go on the website, read the story. We believe the earnings growth will be quite a bit better than what the market is thinking it's going to be at the moment, and we believe the story will be a big winner. It's a little bit of a contrarian play, I suppose, but it's a fantastically well-run company with good management. Somnomed again, the chart looks fantastic. Having that little move down, maybe you have another day down, back to this sort of trend line, should bounce off it, but it looks very, very good. IGO as well. I think resources were slightly up today, but IGO, sort of a bit of a messy chart, so squash it up a bit, make it a little bit better, but a little bit of a messy chart the way it moves. But again, I think it looks very, very bullish. Even Royal Funds, I think, remember the other week we said have a look at it. It's got a nice little buy signal around here. Had a nice move up. Coming back to that sort of swing high, it should find support around this level before it makes that next dog leg up and hopefully attacks that 180 level. But again, great little company, gives a good dividend, I think around 6.5%. And KSL, this is one we put on recently. It's a bit of a dividend play. Gives a dividend of about 9%. We think this has got good growth. One of the major sort of broking houses, actually, since we put it on, I think it's just put it on and got a sort of valuation around this sort of 130, 140 level. The reason we like it, obviously, we can see a little bit of recovery in these in the oil and gas sector, and I think obviously with Papua New Guinea, that will definitely benefit Kinsa Securities. I think that's all I've got to talk about tonight, really, on Equity Story. I suppose maybe just before we go, just have a look at one little stock. And we talked about it the other day, and I think a lot of you bounced into this stock. And it's another sort of food formula coming out of, this is it's quite a little interesting story because it had this fantastic run up the other day, and a lot of you took advantage of it. And I've had quite a few phone calls today asking me what might be a good entry price to get back into Bubs. Often what you can do is, you get a daily chart and you can put these things on a 60-minute chart. It might give you some sort of entry points. For me, it does seem that it's come down around this sort of 2022 level and found quite a bit of support. I think if you like this story, the market cap, and really what you've got to do is buy market cap at the moment with this story. The market cap's around sort of 50 million. Potentially, obviously, the goat milk story in China could be absolutely huge, and I think if they can kick their revenue off over the next 3 or 4 months, 5 months, I think buying around this sort of 0.25 level, 0.2, even if it jumps to 0.26, I think could be a good entry price. I don't think it's got much downside. I don't think it's going to go much below sort of 0.22. You might ask why we haven't put this on as an official sort of 10 bag or a sort of. The reason being, For us at the moment, it hasn't got enough. We are being a little bit more cautious at the moment with the sector. The reason being is that the bigger issue you've got with that sort of micro cap sector at the moment, it's not loved by the market. And yeah, you can buy a story, but really what we want to do at the moment is buying revenue. And what revenue for us does, it keeps, like I've said before, a floor under the share price. And one of those stocks we like, I'll talk about it now, is Adamas. Again, you can see that sort of short-term daily chart starting to look a little bit more bullish. But why do we like Adamas? We think it's worth a lot more than 37 cents a share on the products they've got. But of course, for us, the 10-bagger story is if they find the cure for herpes with Dr. Fraser, and if they do, obviously, we believe this stock could trade at a lot higher multiples. Anyway, that's all I've got to talk about tonight on Equity Story. Hopefully we'll have a good night on the Dow, and we'll have a good day tomorrow on the market. And I look forward to bringing you this report tomorrow night. Thank you. Good night.